Welcome back to our special coverage on the year ahead for Singapore. Parliament will be using plain language for some proceedings from this year in a bid to make proceedings more accessible to the public. It is among the changes planned by Speaker Seah Kian Peng, who is also cautioning members not to use the House as a place to grandstand ahead of the general election. Aslam Shah with more.
The halls of Parliament debated a record 50 bills in 2024, a number not surpassed since 6 years ago. Over 2,400 questions were also filed, far more than the previous year. Topics range from scams, special needs, to artificial intelligence and retirement. The Speaker of Parliament isn't expecting any less in 2025. But with sittings getting longer, sometimes going late into the night, he hopes members will know when to agree to disagree.
If you're listening to a debate and it's the same old points, it's an old broken record, right? Keep playing and playing. You don't mind hearing a rewind, but hearing it too many times, it doesn't achieve anything. As we get into this season, like it or not, it's going to be election season soon. Members don't try to use Parliament sittings to play to the gallery.
Some of last year's highlights for him include the Platform Workers Bill, which had the most number of MPs speaking. It gives delivery riders better insurance coverage and higher CPF contributions for retirement. And because real issues that affect Singaporeans are discussed here, he hopes more will tune into Parliament debates, which have been live-streamed since 2021. Among the plans this year is to tweak the language of parliamentary proceedings to make it easier for people to understand. For example, last year, you would have heard this.
As many as are of the opinion say aye, to the contrary say no.
But from the first sitting this year,
those who agree say aye, those who disagree say no. I think the ayes have it, the ayes have it. This we are availing ourselves, demystifying what takes place in Parliament, and as they get more interested, hopefully, I think it is good for every Singaporean to take an active interest.
Also being planned is something that could look like this metaverse, but of the Parliament building, to let younger people have a look online. Doors will also still be open to the public. Taking me around, Mr. Seah tells me each sitting takes weeks to prepare, and it includes making rounds in the chamber.
You have to make sure test all the things work, because when you're pressing the button, because they've registered the vote. So all these technical checks have to be done.
Proceedings have kept up with the times, like these QR codes on each seat for MPs to download required documents. Foreign delegates also come by to visit, 42 to be exact last year. But it was Sultan Ibrahim Iskandar from Malaysia who made history.
In fact, he's the first one that I checked through the records. First he requested to come, and then when he came, it happened to be a sitting day. So he actually sat through one part.
He requested? Or?
He requested. Requested. So it was quite. I think our ambassador when the request went through our ambassador in Malaysia, in KL, he also did a double take. He said, "Oh."
And joining us once again, our Associate Professor Eugene Tan from the SMU School of Law and Dr. Felix Tan, an independent political observer. Welcome back, Professor Tan, Dr. Tan. So many debates, many long nights over some 50 bills last year. How have greater political diversity and contestation influenced the lengths of the sitting?
Well, I think when you look at the current 14th Parliament, it has the most number of opposition MPs since independence. Right, Workers' Party has 10 MPs elected in 2020, and the Progressive Party has got 2 non-constituency MPs. And of course, in this current Parliament, the office of the Leader of Opposition, was first is in effect. So I think the opposition, in a way, have felt that they need to step up. Given that they have been getting the electoral support, and I think they also recognize that Singaporeans are taking Parliament's proceedings with more interest, And so there is a need for them to show that, they do raise these issues in Parliament. And I would say that, the live streaming of Parliament proceedings have also, in a way, encouraged MPs, to participate more. Because I think, people can see for the record, how often, an MP takes part in the debates. But as was pointed out in the story, you also have more parliamentary questions. And I think another point that should be raised is also that there are more motions, right? So motions are issues that MPs raise and the House would debate it. There are also more adjournment motions, so all these take up time. And of course, I think, in a more contested political environment, I think all political parties, right, the ruling party as well as the two opposition parties, as well as nominated members of parliament, feel that they need to weigh in. And I think that will help to make, parliament in a way more interesting. But I also take the view that sometimes, because of live streaming, MPs sometimes feel the need to participate just for the sake of participating. And when you look at the content of the speeches, it's not very substantive. So you have to manage this, and I'm not sure whether, the Speaker says that, we shouldn't grandstand because we're in election season. I think that's going to be hard because I think in this last few months of Parliament, right, Parliament has only about 7 months left to its term. We can expect, MPs across the aisle, to participate more and also, to be more vigorous in the way they put forth, their arguments.
And making use of the time they have in Parliament very wisely. In your view, Dr. Tan, what do voters typically look out for in Parliament debates?
I think because over the years, the parliamentary debates have shifted quite considerably as well.
Yeah.
I think there are obviously some vested interests, amongst Singaporeans to tend to look at what are being discussed in Parliament, because essentially it will affect their lives as well. Policies especially, I think that's very important. So that's one of the things that they will look out for. What policies are being introduced, what policies have been changed or will change over the next couple of months or in this particular term. So but again, I think we need to caution that voters are very, very diverse, and so they will nitpick and they'll cherry pick actually on what kind of stories or what kind of issues they really want to focus on. So one can really say and put your finger and say, we really just focus on one particular issue, because some might take more center stage than others, and some might just fall into the background.
All right, and besides domestic affairs, attention is also on Singapore's position on the international stage.